Hey folks, happy Friday. The last 4 chapters of the book of 2 Samuel form a concentric pattern known as a chiasm. And we see these patterns all throughout the Bible, and they're designed to add weight to the subject matter. And in this case, it's the life of King David, who's presented as the greatest of Israel's kings. Now, in the midst of this concentric pattern, there's a recounting of the brave men who have been with David, many of them throughout his entire career. And it starts off with talking about the defeat of these 4 brothers of Goliath, the sons of Rapha, and the men that killed them. And then it moves to David's mighty men, his men of renown, his 30 mighty men, beginning with the top 3. Which the number 1 guy is a man named Josheb-Basshebeth, who at one point killed 800 people by himself in one battle. And then there was also a man named Eleazar, who in the midst of battle, when all of the other troops had fled, he stood his ground against the Philistines and killed them all day long, so much so that his hand froze to his sword. It's one of my favorite stories in the Bible. And eventually, the rest of the troops came back, but only to help strip the bodies. And then there's another man named Shammah who did a very similar thing, and God won a great victory through him. And it continues to then recount and list the name of all of the 30 great warriors, including Abishai, the nephew of David, who himself gained great renown by killing 300 men with a spear, so much so that he was even more famous than the top 3 and even led them, although he was not included within those 3. And he was also one of the men that killed one of these great giant warriors and delivered David. Now, these are men that had great renown and great influence in David's kingdom. And throughout the Bible, David is seen as a foreshadowing of Jesus, an imperfect Messiah, and yet the man who was chosen to lead the people of Israel, chosen by God. And of course, this picture is fulfilled completely in Jesus, who is the perfect Messiah, anointed by God to lead God's people into God's kingdom. And like David, Jesus has a list of renowned people himself, but it looks a whole lot different than David's list. There was a point when Jesus' disciples came to him and said, who's the greatest in the kingdom? And Jesus takes a little child and places the child on his knee and says, unless you can come to the kingdom like a child with all of the humility and the complete dependency upon God, unless you can come like a child, you've got no part in the kingdom. And he said, whoever welcomes one of these children in my name welcomes me. But his disciples still didn't get it. They were still bickering. And at one point, John and James said, can we sit on the right hand, on the left hand of your kingdom? He says, that's not what my kingdom is like. That's the affairs of kings and kingdoms of the earth, not my kingdom. He said, in my kingdom, you have to be able to be willing to pick up your cross and to follow me, to be able to lay down your life, to be able to act with humility. And to serve one another. That was the whole point of Jesus washing his disciples' feet on the night that he was betrayed before he died on the cross. He was demonstrating to them what the kingdom was like and how you needed to serve one another. And when he comes to Peter to wash his feet, Peter says, "You'll never wash my feet." And Jesus says, "Well, then you'll never have a part of my kingdom." So Jesus takes the kingdom of David and the kingdoms of all men, and he turns them upside down to demonstrate his own kingdom. So if you've ever felt like you lack significance, that you lack influence, folks, if you're a child of God, congratulations, you've made Jesus' list. So embrace that and pursue the kingdom with humility. Learn to serve one another. Learn to lay down your life so that by the power of God's Spirit, you can pick it up again just like Jesus did. I hope this encourages you today. If it does, give this video a like and a share. And as always, get out there and make the world a better place because you're in it. I'll talk to you all again soon. Thanks.